Hey everybody, Creature Hunt Guy here, back with another Godzilla figure review, and today I'm going to be bringing to you someone who's not quite as special as Baragon, but pretty cool. And if we can't enjoy the simple things in life, then we have lost our humanity. Or something like that. Nevertheless though, this guy is one I've wanted for a long time, and that is the movie monster series, Spacegodzilla. Oh yes. So you all know who Spacegodzilla is, I'm not going to go over all that. Plus, if you do want to have a little bit of backstory, you can go back and watch my Bandai Creation review of Spacegodzilla. And speaking of those two, how do they stand up together? Well, first you can tell that there are some actual likenesses in the basic sculpting and shape of how the figure looks. And, well, I mean, you know, they have the same basic sort of pose and even pretty much similar articulation as well. But when you see the differences is in the depth of the detail, like Spacegodzilla's face over here, as you can see, is pretty well sculpted, molded and everything, while this one over here just looks a little bit more blander and a bit more generic. And then you also see the color, whereas this guy is like black. This guy's a navy sort of blue, which is of course more screen accurate and everything. That's not to say I don't like the Bandai Creation version. I'm just saying that this guy is indeed the Bandai version is quite a bit more accurate to how the movie looked. So now for him by himself, let's take first a look at the tag, which you see the Spacegodzilla there on the front there from the movie, and pretty cool screenshot, I gotta say. Then on the inside you got this exact same picture and a bunch of other stuff I don't really know. And then on the back, of course, you got the Godzilla's face. So what is the first thing we should do? We should take a look at the depth and detail of this guy's features. Now, like I said, this guy is very well detailed, not to mention freaking long with this tail. In fact, I think he's probably one of the longest of the 6-inch Bandai figures. But yeah, so let's just take a look at that beautiful face there. First of all, you can see that his jaw has these teeth that kind of splay out, sort of, which is kind of cool looking, sort of reminiscent of Biollante. And then you got, of course, once again reminiscent of Biollante, these you know, claw things coming off the side of his cheeks, which look terribly painful. And then you got this beautiful gold sort of thing on his head. I don't know what it is exactly, but his eyes are also the same color, so I love it. And also, this gold spray paint is on his crystals too, which look nice. And then you just got wrinkly raisin skin on there, very good. Then you got his chest, which is all space-agey looking. Then you got his old bladder or whatever, I don't know. I've always wondered about that, and it's very well detailed, whatever it is. Then you got his arms and his hands, they look very good. And then, of course, on the back with his crystals. And something that's always bothered me is how that these crystals go up and these go down, like, and there's this huge gap right there. And that's pretty much because of the how the figure was put together, because you can see that's where the top and the bottom torso come together at. And that's the only reason I can guess as to why it's like that. And it looks kind of unsightly from the side, but I try to ignore it. Then you look onto his tail and you have these nice blocky looking crystals which eventually peter out and explode into these little black ones down here. And yeah, I guess you could say that's a little lazy of them not to have painted it all the way, but who's counting anyways? Overall, it's a very nicely done figure. I think a great update to the Godzilla Island and Toho Kaiju series versions, which were alright, but I definitely prefer this, like all the other ones, above the, like all the movie monster series figures. I definitely prefer this one over the others. The colors on this guy is pretty nice, like I said, movie accurate once again, and just navy blue pretty much is the base color, as you can see, and I think that's a good color for him. Then on the back, you know, you got these white sort of blue colors tinted on there, I don't know, but my absolute favorite color is of course this gold, which is something I don't see very much in Godzilla figures, like almost ever. This beautiful gold color, and I wish Bandai would use it more. But you can just see on his head and his eyes and his crystals, the whole thing should just be this entire gold color. That is what it should be. But I don't know, it's really nice. Now, you know, you see down here the spray painting job isn't quite as good on the claws and everything as I would hope, but he's still really well done, I think. Really well done, I think, and yeah, pretty much, that's it for paint job. Now, the thing could be said about the articulation is that it's not really that important and no one really cares. But if you do care, you can move his arms in and out such like this. Very similar to the Heisei Godzilla. In fact, I'm surprised how similar this figure overall is similar to the 6-inch version of the Heisei Godzilla, which I think is really cool. I mean, they didn't use the same molds exactly, but they kind of did. I mean, they look pretty similar, and I'll show you that in a minute. But you can also use his head to swivel and turn about. And you can also move this gigantic tail. Now, unlike the Bandai Creation version, there is no intermediate sort of joint there, so it's just all one straight. And personally, I kind of like it that way. It looks nice and tough. No leg or hip articulation, and that is your lot. Now, like I said, really reminds me, this figure in particular, really reminds me of the Heisei Godzilla. And as you can see, there are some similarities in shape and articulation and size and everything. I mean, just looking at the overall shape of their bodies, yeah, they're very similar. Which makes sense because Spacegodzilla is supposed to be part of Godzilla's DNA in space, so that makes sense. But looking at them next to each other now, from the same series and the same size scale, it really becomes obvious. And I guess by way of size comparison, here you see them together. And yeah, they look really nice. They make an excellent, awesome pair. And I believe the Heisei 6-inch Godzilla was in fact patterned after the 94 Godzilla, which is the one that fought this guy. So that makes them even more even go together even better. I don't know. But yes, they do stack up pretty well. I think Spacegodzilla should actually be larger by quite a bit. But I don't care. And just for the heck and fun of it, here he is with 3 other Heisei baddies, King Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla 2, and Destroya, in which this team up right here looks pretty awesome. So Spacegodzilla, yes, you should get him. He is pretty much essential. Now, do you have to get this particular one? Not necessarily. It's my personal favorite, so this is the one I got. But you can also get the pink tag version, which is loads and loads cheaper, and if you're just an occasional, interested guy, then you should probably go with that one. But if you really want to have them all from the same set, you go with this one, or the Toho Kaiju, or the Godzilla Island versions. But personally, I like this guy the best, and I think you should go out and get him now. If you can find him. Which, that's the hard part. So, my question for you for the week is, who is your favorite, Destroya or Spacegodzilla? Do you have a partiality to either one of them? Personally, I never really liked either of them much as a kid, but as I've gotten older, I've become more to like Spacegodzilla a little bit more, just because he is kind of like the arch nemesis of Godzilla, and I just think that's kind of neat. But put your comment in the below either way, and until next time, guys, have a happy Labor Day.